Alright, this is going to be me laying out the leather sheath and tooling it for this USMC themed knife. It was actually commissioned by a friend of mine. And then I'm doing a video on Patreon on forging out another one. That's actually one of two that's going for two more gentlemen that I know that served in the Corps. First thing I want to do is decide, right hand or left hand, and lay the sheath out accordingly. All I do is kind of mark out rough idea of, say this would be for a left-handed sheath, doing it over here on this side. If you want a right-handed sheath, where this is actually folds over and ends up being the outside, and the loop comes out of this material back here, you come over here on this side and do something about like this right here. Let's see. Now my sheaths are kind of a relatively basic design, nothing super fancy. I can do some decent tooling. Still learning, still working to perfect that craft. Now, what I'm gonna do here. Alright, now from here, I'm going to want a sheath that covers close to half that handle. When it laps over, now over here is going to be a little bit lower, but you got to remember this is the belt loop. It's actually going to fold back under, like so. And you want something that's going to hold at least a 2-inch belt. So I kind of try to lay them out for that. So I'll go from there, and then it'll let me know where I'm going to want that front to be. So I'll mark it, bring it on out, and I typically do lay the knife back in place. Now, it means my split's going to be right down here. So when it actually folds, you'll see that you get that middle point is right along that line that I just marked out there. Alright. Now, you come in here. Just to get the basic shape. Here's going to be the basic sheath. As you can see, fit in, still leave enough of the handle out to where it'll be gripped. And then I'll clean up profile and everything and start working it from there. Be back with you as soon as I clean up this profile a little bit. Alright, I've got sheath shaped up a little bit more. Got it where it should go together nicely when I put the welt and all in, and brought it back around to where it will fit nicely around the knife without a lot of excess leather. Now it's going to be time to lay out how I'm going to tool it. Alright. Now, I'll normally use a divider. And I will come in and mark around the outside. Now, depending on how thick I want the welt, what you're looking for is to try to get the stitching about more towards the center of the welt once the welt's glued in. So you want to lay it out what I'll do is I'll come back through here. Hoping you can see that little line. And I come in with a little V-groover and just follow the line. Now this will give me a place that I'm actually going to end up laying the stitching. Take your time on this so that you don't get way off track. They make a tool for this, and unfortunately mine is currently broke. I've got to order a new tip for it. Essentially what this will do is this will give you a nice uniform border. See, then this will actually trimmed, tapered, squared off a little nicer and stuff and all. And that'll give me a nice 2-inch belt to be able to fit in there. I want to take, groove the back right here, make it a little easier for it to bend. That'll get it to lay a little smoother. Same with the center. Come up the center. I take them off. Top there, so it helps with this fold. You gotta take a look and take into account that this is going to be snugger down through here. This needs to have a little more flex, but still enough here to where after it's put in and wet down with the dye and stuff, that I can actually form it a little bit. And when I go to do that, I'll actually wrap the knife in some plastic wrap to keep it from getting any dye or anything like that on it, or messing up the finish on the blade. Now, if I was going to do just plain sheath, I would go ahead and dye it, cut the welt, place the welt into it, glue it. Well, actually, I would stitch the loop first, then place the welt in, glue it together, then punch it and stitch it. And what I'll use to punch is pricking irons like these right here. It's always good to have a little assortment of different sizes so that you can be able to work around the bends and things like that without having to make it real block. You know, it'll contour the stitching holes nicely. Now, let's see. I'm going to lay out for the tooling I'm going to do, and then I'll be right back. Alright, now what I have done here is scored some lines crossed here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a basket weave type pattern through here. And then probably what I will do is around the outside edge, I will do a thin, wide scallop. This one right here, which is actually, let's see, what tool number is this? Can't make it out, there's too much glare on here from lighting, but I will stamp this around the outside edge all the way around. I will take this tri-basket, weave, and stamp down the line in here. I will take the V-groover and groove out these lines that I've placed in so that I can actually offset them with the beveler. Create a little bit of depth, and then I will end up taking a pear shader and doing some shading that fans out from the edges. I'll do a two-tone dye job on this. I'm going black and brown. It should make for a nice look. All right. So let me get the my water and sponge to dampen the leather, and I'll be right back. Okay. What we're going to do is dampen the leather. Nice even dampness. Now, it's damp, I'll go ahead and use the V-groover to mark these lines. Now that it's starting to dry up just a little bit, I can come in with this tool, start up here in the corner, just to the outside of that line, the outside line that I V-grooved. Butt it up to the next, keep it on the outside of that line. Come down here, butt it up to that corner, keep it on the outside line, and just keep it going around that way. Keep it in perspective where you can see where you're making the marks, where you're placing your tool. Now when you get here, and you'll see that this would actually go more than over the line, you're going to canter it just a little bit. And as you can see there, I just marked up to the line that way. See. And there, we'll step over to the other side of the line on the top side. As I said, I'm still learning on tooling and things like that, so there's far from being perfect, but I do try to keep things looking nice, neat, and uniform. Now, this tri-stamp's a little bit trickier when working with it. You're going to want to start in one corner and I'll start right here, come off this line here and this line here, and with this there's actually little indents on the ends. Now from there you can actually place the indents and keep them lined up. See there? If you get off just a little bit, as long as you catch it and correct it, in the next blow, you can eliminate a lot of trouble. Now as it's starting to dry out a bit, I'm going to want to dampen it some more. I'll work on through and then come back to it after that. There's that stamped. Got a little bit of a border stamped. Now from here, we'll work on the die. Alright, I take that back. I still have to bevel these areas here. So let's do that. What you're doing with beveler, as you strike it, it bounces, and as it bounces, you pull it down a little bit further and keep striking as you go along, and that'll put in that line there. We'll come over here and do this side, and then I'll work on the insides. I need to dampen that just a little bit. If it gets too dry, it just doesn't work properly, and want to allow it to get down in it good and hold the form. Now from there, I'll come to the inside of this, because what we're doing is we're raising this welt. All right. Switch it around, do this one. Alright, there's some shape to that. Alright. Now, I've got a little tool that's used to actually round the outside edges. Not exactly the best with it, but I am learning, still learning. let that dry out, and I'll come back and start laying out the dye. While I'm letting this dry out, I'll go ahead and clean up the shape of this a little bit and actually use my marks here on the mat to try to get these lined up a little better. I actually polished the edge of this blade on up earlier. I think it was 13,000 grit I went up to get that edge, so I can try to get as smooth the cuts as possible with this. Now, I tend to taper in my edges just a little bit. There you go. Give it a little bit of contour to it. And what I'll end up doing is using my skiver and skive this down for the area that it's going to lay into there. Now this will actually end up covering some of the tooling that I've done, but what you're going to end up with is a nice little sheath like that. So, be back shortly. Alright, taking this, literally it just shaves down like that. Gives a taper to this so that you don't have as big a bulky area sticking out when you actually, I'll end up marking out and roughing up this area here. I'll go ahead and mark it so I don't have to worry so much about the dye with it. Now, it's going to give me here, crossed here, crossed here. And right in here, this is the area that I'm going to end up roughing up with a almost like an emery file. It'll get sanded rough after it's all dry and all, and after I've dyed around it. But still waiting on this to dry out. Then I can come in here with a knife. See. Lay it out. See how much I'm going to have. And mark out how wide the welt's going to end up being. You want to leave just a little bit of room around it. wheels out of the way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down the brown first. Lay down the brown first and let it dry and then go from there. So I've got some, oh, that's the black. Let's see. I'm going to be using EcoFlow Bison Brown. Get my dauber. When dyeing, you want to work in circular motions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come around here on the outside and just work from there. I think I'm going to do a little bit different than what I'd originally planned. Alright, while that's there, get the cap on that. I'm going to go with some timber brown in the center. Let's see. Bring that in. This should give me just a little bit darker color on the outside, and kind of wash it in towards the center. Back around with Alright, there's the start. I'll be back after that dries. There we go. What I've done is, after I did the dark brown and did the timber brown, I came in with a little bit of black around the edges and stuff and all, and just brushed it on. I actually used some toilet paper to kind of work it around a little bit, give me a little bit, you know, different look. Give me a lot more variation in how that looks. Once it dries and I get sheen on it, it should really, really look good. Now while I've got a chance, go ahead and flip it over. And get this dyed. What I'm doing is I'm going to dye any area that could be exposed, even when it's folded, welts put in and stitched. So, keep it elevated a little bit, and I'll be back once it dries. I'm back. What I've done is went ahead and glued the welt on one side. I'll go ahead and rough it up. That way when I get through gluing the belt loop and stitching it, I'll be able to glue this and use my nail punch, my hole punch, pricking iron, whatever you want to call it. Punch this. End up being a nice little sheath. Go ahead and glue this. Now with this glue, it takes about 15 minutes before it's actually ready to adhere to the surface. You coat both sides. So, be back shortly. Beeswax, coat the tip of the pricking iron. Keep it from sticking. pull it out, you don't want to rock it back and forth or twist it, or which way. You want to actually pull it straight out. You want to put a old piece of leather or something up underneath so that you don't end up destroying your cutting mat. I'm going to take something and poke it through and give you a good idea of where your holes are lining up. What I do is take my little V-groove and I come across where my stitch holes are. I score across where they're going to be. That way they'll recess back in there and not be getting cut or moved around and all and worn on so much by the blade as you're taking it in and out of the sheath. All right. Let's see. On that, I'll use my lighter wax thread. get these threaded on and I'll be right back. Now, these thread actually screws right into the back of these. They're threaded and hollow. And what we're going to do is it's referred to as a saddle stitch. Which is you overlap one thread with the other as you come through. Now you want to make sure whichever direction you use on the bottom, that's the one that always ends up dropping to the bottom. So coming from this back side, pull it through, hold it down, the other one goes over the top of that. Need to actually make me a little stitching pony that I can lock in this little vise. It would simplify things. When you get to the end like that, you're going to want to reverse your threading back one. What that's going to do is lock this stitch down. Where it won't want to pull out. And then what I normally do as well is put a little drop of glue on it. Help it adhere and not want to back out. Now, that'll be nice flush across there. Now it'll be time for me to do this next one. I'll come back after I'm done that and start on the outside band. Alright, and doing the stitching and all, you want to try to keep them pulled snug, not too tight so that, you know, it ends up causing the leather to twist and things like that. But you do want to Make sure that you keep going where the one that ends up on the bottom stays on the bottom, the one that passes through, and the one that ends up on the top stays on the top. Now, with mine, what it is the one that comes from the front. As it comes to the front, goes back to the bottom, and this one will end up going, passing over the top of it. And then after it goes around to the front, as it comes from the front, it'll be the one that ends up going to the bottom again. That way you keep the same, moving the same way. All right, I'm going to finish this up and I'll be right back. And of course, put a little bit of glue on the end of the thread so that it doesn't end up coming back through. There it is, hand stitched sheath. Now I'll clean up this welt, then I'll hit it with some edge coat, and actually I'll clean up the welt, then I'll hit it with some sheen, and then an edge coat. Clean up these edges. That burnisher. Now, I'll take a little bit of sheen, place on it. And the reason why sheen's pretty much the last thing you'll do besides the edge coat is because you want the dye to be completely dry. Now this will change the whole look. I mean, that sheen really makes a big difference. All right. Now do a little bit of edge coat. There we go. Let that dry, and it'll be ready. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Don't forget to take a look at the Laminated Damascus Part 1 giveaway announcement. Comment on there. Take a look at the Fiery Pit Forge Facebook page. Like it. And as soon as I reach 250 subscribers on here and reach 500 likes on my Facebook page, I'll be giving away that laminated Damascus knife. There'll be some more video of it coming up shortly, as well as part 2 on the spear point skinner, or the little spear point knife, and the rest of the file rasp knife as well. Have a blessed day. Talk to you later. Bye.